Okay, so this is from, I'll just call you nextgen. In the current scenario, to be a job-ready Android dev, what are the essentials I should expertise at? Good question. And I think this is probably a good thing to end on here. So you'll need core Java and or Kotlin skills. As far as which one to pick, that's its own lengthy answer that I'm not going to go into, but don't worry too much about it. If you master one programming language, that doesn't mean you can't switch to another one, and it doesn't mean that learning another one will be anything but a lot easier. If you learn core Java, core Kotlin will be easier. If you learn core Kotlin, core Java will be easier. You'll be confused because Java syntax is terrible. Kotlin syntax is beautiful. So, but you'll need one of these. Don't worry too much about which one. If you're really concerned, find some companies you want to work for and look at their job postings. And this might be a useful way you can decide which one to go for. A lot of companies still use Java, so for Android, so just be aware of that. You'll need your core programming skills. You will need core knowledge of the Android SDK. So here are some topics you want to know. Activity, life cycle. Now you don't necessarily need to like study this thing in a fine-tuned way. These are more like things you can learn while building demo apps, and I'll get to that in a minute. But activity life cycle, basic 3-tier architectures would help, but it's not mandatory. Some companies don't really worry at all about software architecture. Those are not companies I want to work for, but just be aware of that. So you would kind of want to know MVP or MVVM. I have so much to say about this in general, and if you're going to learn this stuff from anyone, I teach it pretty well. So look at some of my videos. This is simultaneously misunderstood, but also a lot simpler than most people really think it is, because these things, we're just applying separation of concerns. That's all that any of these architectures are. It's just applied separation of concerns. But that would that'll probably improve your job prospects if you know the basics of one of these architectures. What else? Know a little bit about concurrency. So this could be using Java executors. This could be Kotlin coroutines. This could be even just async task, which is part of Android. Now, this concurrency is not easy. Concurrency is actually probably the most difficult practical problem in programming. Concurrency, if you're not familiar, how do I get one single running program, and the word running program, the word for that is a process, in case you've ever wondered what a process is in a computer. Concurrency is when you have one process, running program, and within that one running program, you have multiple threads of execution, different threads, in other words. This is not easy. If you're applying for a junior Android developer, I would like to see you know how to use an async task, and that's it. I wouldn't expect you to know how to use the Java executor framework or even coroutines for that matter. For an intermediate Android developer, I would probably, that would be a bonus. But for beginners, just figure out how to do something, here, let's put it this way. for beginners, figure out how to execute a long-running operation on a background thread. My face is blocking that. And the easiest way to do that is with an async task. It's not that bad. People tell you not to use it. You have to be careful how you use async task, but the same is true about all of these concurrency tools. It's still the simplest one. And it's not going to destroy your app unless you have horrible memory leaks, which I can't go into. Here's optional but very useful. Build a simple REST application. So REST is a communication protocol, and almost every Android job you will find will have something to do with REST. This is really about communicating with servers, so cloud servers, via the internet. If you're applying to a company where they don't use this, you don't really need to learn it necessarily. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about here, but hopefully that gives you a general overview. Let's add in one more. Learn some kind of storage mechanism like a database. You could do just a plain old SQLite database. You could do Room is very fast and easy. I do like Room a lot. It's a good tool for Android. You could do something like that. So let me suggest then for these three, build a calculator or something that's that simple Android app which uses a basic architecture, a basic 3-tier architecture, and runs the calculations on a background thread. Even though it isn't necessary to do that, you probably don't practically need to run simple simple math on the background thread, but do this in order to learn something like async task. Build an app. Put that app on GitHub or whatever, Bitbucket, whatever. Just put it online. And that'll help you get hired, and it'll help you learn these things. After you do that, I'm just giving you a recommended learning path. To learn these things, I guess technically that should have been included in there, but to learn like REST and a database, build a note-taking app, a GitHub REST API parser, something like that. Now we're going a little bit more complicated. We're actually working with data either stored in a database or remotely on a cloud server, instead of just dealing with like running some calculations. And then put that on GitHub or Bitbucket. And if you do these things, you should be quite well set up to, as far as I'm concerned, to be an Android developer. If you can do these things. Now, what is a senior developer? What is an intermediate developer? What is a junior developer? To be honest, the definitions of those things changes a lot between what company you're working on. So for some companies, they won't really expect you to do any of this stuff. They would probably be quite happy to see just that you've built and deployed any kind of Android application. And honestly, like in some companies, if you're able to do this stuff, you're like fully into intermediate Android development. So I'm just giving you broad strokes, and hopefully that answer was useful for you.